Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez on this Friday, July 18th. Happy Friday to you. You see the White House right there, of course, and you see that President Trump in about an hour or so will be signing a bill into law. So specifically at 2:30, we're told that the president will participate in a signing ceremony for the Genius Act. That's going to be at the East Room. Now, the Genius Act of 2025 establishes a regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers in the U.S. and aims to provide clarity and oversight in cryptocurrency market. That explanation, of course, from CNBC, so we'll dive into that in a little bit, especially hearing from President Trump at 2:30. Then tonight at 7 o'clock, the president participates in a dinner with Republican senators. That's in the state dining room. We're told that is closed press, so most likely no live feed from that. If we get any replay or any upload, I'm sure we'll be able to upload that if we get that feed. Also, a bit earlier at the White House, outside, the border czar, Tom Homan, spoke with reporters and had a number of things to say, of course, about ICE and illegal immigration and the border. So here's that interview.
A half a question.
Mr. Homan, I wanted to quick ask you about alligator Alcatraz. There's been some reporting that it could cost as much as $2 billion. Can you just walk through the thought process on that? I know the president said he's thinking of maybe hosting some undocumented migrants there as well when it's up and running. Can you talk about that?
Look, we just passed a big, beautiful bill. We need more beds. Governor DeSantis came up with some beds pretty quickly. We're looking to get 100,000 beds, and the more beds we get, the more bad guys we can take off the street. Every criminal alien we arrest on the street, before we deport them, they need a bed because it takes several days, several weeks, several months to actually remove them. So we need more beds. We're bringing beds on as quickly as possible. I think Governor DeSantis came up with a good model, and I'm not familiar with the cost. That's a question for ICE, but we're looking for beds, and I hope we get more beds on soon. We need the beds.
I'm sorry, I said alligator Alcatraz. I meant Alcatraz. Reopening of Alcatraz, the original, off the coast.
Well, look, I think they're looking at it. I don't think any decision has been made yet. They've looked at the cost of it, but I'm not in the loop on that. But again, we're looking for any available bed space we can get that meet the detention standards that we're accustomed to. Beds are important. Last week, I woke up one morning, we had less than 200 beds. We'll fill them by half the day. So we're constantly having to change flight arrangements and move deportation as quick as we can to empty beds. We shouldn't be in that position. These operations take time. They're well thought out operations. We need to know that there's a number of beds available when we take the bad guys off the street. So we need to bring beds on as quick as possible, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Can you explain the plans to continue major enforcement pushes within sanctuary cities and states?
Well, the president made it clear we're going to focus on sanctuary cities, make them priority. And why is that? Because we know they're a problem. We know they're releasing public safety threats every day because they're sanctuary cities. They're not honorary detainers. We don't have that problem in most of Texas and Florida, for instance. So we can take resources from those areas and put them in areas where we know there's a problem. So I've said for weeks, we're going to flood the zone in sanctuary cities. You're going to see a record number of agents in the neighborhoods and a record number of agents at work site. If they don't give us the criminal alien the safety and security of county jail, then we're going to go to the neighborhood and find them because we're going to do the job. If we can't find them in the neighborhood, we'll find them at the work site. So sanctuary cities get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the community, which is going to equal more collateral arrest, because when we find a bad guy and he's with somebody that's not a criminal but he's here illegally, they're coming too. So that's the president made that commitment, and I made that commitment, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're already doing it.
Mr. Homan, if it did ultimately cost $2 billion to renovate Alcatraz, is that a figure that you're comfortable with?
I'd have to see how many beds come out of that number, and what's the length of stay that facility is going to do. We got short-term bed facilities, we got long-term bed facilities. So unless I have that information, I can't even give you a guess.
Would you rather see other states do things like alligator Alcatraz instead of this big?
I know the secretaries are working with other states to do that, to bring on beds quickly that meet our detention standards. Look, I think states have a responsibility too. What the Biden administration did for 4 years, releasing all these people into the country not properly vetted, becomes a state problem. Look, all the traffic you saw in the last 4 years coming to Texas, 97% of it didn't stay in Texas and went all over the country. So states have responsibility. States have felt the effect in crime, and exhaustion of their social services. So states have a big share of this too. I'm happy that states are stepping up.
Which states
As
have
far
offered
as beds are
similar
concerned,
to
what kind of
Alligator
number do you
Alcatraz?
have right now as far as beds are concerned? How many, and what's the timeline to get to 100,000 beds?
Quick as possible. I don't have a timeline. We got a lot of contracts being reviewed, but the faster we get the beds, the more people we can take off the street.
How many
But
beds do you have right now?
right around 60,000.
Mr. Holman, people who've
Go ahead. Pardon me?
What penalties should someone who assaulted an ICE officer face?
That's a felony. You should go to prison. President Trump made that clear the other day. This ridiculousness is over. You put a hand on an ICE officer, you're going to prison. You impede an ICE officer, you're going to be prosecuted.
When are you going to start?
Mr. Holman,
If you knowingly conceal an illegal alien, you're going to go to jail. If you throw a stone at an ICE vehicle or an officer, those days are over. They're going to get out of the car, they're going to arrest you. President Trump made that clear the other day. I talked to President Trump about that. Within 15 minutes, he put a tweet out. So the ICE officers know. Zero tolerance. Border Patrol knows. Zero tolerance.
Mr. Holman, two questions. One is there are a lot of Australians who, and I've spoken to many in that community. I'm not Australian. I'm a US citizen from New Zealand originally, but they're genuinely scared. Australians drink a lot. A few of them have DUIs. They're here illegally. They've paid off their fines. They've done the restitution thing, but they're still scared they're going to be deported because they had a DUI, say 10 or 15 years ago. Is that true? That's what they're thinking is true. And the second thing is, there was someone arrested today who overstayed his visa. Do you think that it's wrong to overstay a visa? I understand that, but do you think if they have committed no criminal offences, they should be penalised the same in these harsh deportations?
If you're here in violation of the law, you're going to be held accountable. President Trump made clear we're going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats. But you're in the country legally, you got a problem. That is why we're pushing the CB home map. Put your affairs in order and leave the country, make yourself available for some legal program. But if you commit a crime, you violate your status here, that's on you. You violate the law, you're going to be held accountable.
What about these Aussies with DUIs?
As far as enforcement against
Over 10,000 people die a year from DUI.
That's true.
That's
My
a serious
husband lost
crime.
their life to
as far as
it. I agree.
enforcement against
Yeah.
mayors who are harboring illegal aliens, when is this going to happen as far as mayors?
That's a question for Pam Bondi and DOJ. I've said it from day one, no one's above the law. If you knowingly and harbor conceal an illegal alien from ICE, that is a felony. If you impede ICE officers doing their job, that is a felony. That's a question for DOJ. I've asked DOJ to look at a few cases, and they're looking at them. So I'll just leave it at that. That's a question for Pam Bondi.
When do you expect the president to actually announce the specifics of the exemptions for deportations for foreign workers?
Look, there's discussions going on. I'm not going to get ahead of President on that. But I'll say this, because I've read a lot of news stories that are inaccurate. There will be no amnesty. There are people talking about, we talk about policies every day, strategies every day. That is one of the discussions. Not getting ahead of the president. We'll see what happens.
Are you concerned about the amnesty provisions in Congressman Salazar's bill?
There will be no, the president will not approve any amnesty.
Proposal similar to Alligator Alcatraz. Which states and how many are you getting?
We don't have an agreement yet, so I'm not giving anybody any credit until we got an agreement.
What's happening with golden cards? President announced a few months ago.
Out of my lane. I'm the border czar.
Okay.
Can you explain how?
On border wall construction, which regions are seeing that restart, and also how much border wall and how quickly is this moving? Any updates that you have on that?
No, I know CBP. I talked to CBP this morning. They have a plan. They got a prioritization where they're putting border barriers up based on where they see the biggest need. Wall is being constructed. More water buoys are being put in the water, but that plan is being put together now based on the big beautiful bill. Knowing they have the money available, they're reinstituting that plan. So I don't have the most recent facts on that.
Specifically, that funding is going to where you're tracking the border
No,
wall.
no.
Can you
Close.
mention about third country agreements? Which countries these deals with?
We have a conversation with a lot of countries, but until we get an agreement, I'm not going to comment who they are.
Can you send more to South Sudan and Eswatini? Thank you.
The great borders are Tom Homan speaking to reporters outside the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Great to see him there. What a great speech he had at the recent conference. I believe it was in Tampa, Florida, with TPUSA, the Student Action Committee there. So great to hear from Tom once again. Now let's get to a number of sponsors before we continue our live coverage as we await the president there in the East Room of the White House. Let's go with All Family Pharmacy. Great sponsor here at Right Side. I mean, if you're feeling tired, foggy, or just low on energy lately, it might not be stress. It could be just simply your cells running low on fuel. That's why more and more folks are actually turning to NAD Plus and methylene blue. So as we get older, our cells slow down, but that doesn't mean you have to. These products are helping people boost their energy, clear out the brain fog, and stay sharp. And now you can get both NAD Plus and methylene blue at All Family Pharmacy. They make it easy to get the medications you need without the usual runarounds. So they have fast shipping. They don't require insurance, which is cool. And the doctor's prescription is included. It's your go-to for essentials like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and more. All online and delivered right to your door. So you can just check out allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code to save 10% today. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN10. All right, let's go to callshe.com/RSBN. If you download the app or you just go to the website, either way, you'll be able to see a number of topics and questions, whether it's sports or politics, faith, all sorts of things, weather, finance. Really, I got the full gamut there. So just go to callshe.com/RSBN if you want to bet or trade, or just check out some of the polls. You can go to the app as well. Great sponsor here at Right Side, callshe.com/RSBN. All right, so it's 1:41, Friday, July 18th. Obviously a lot in the news, right? We know that. We also know the president's going to be signing a Genius Act, the Genius Act into law. We'll explain what that is if you're just joining us in just a bit. That's going to be at about 2:30. So if it's on time, we'll take you there. And if it's a little bit delayed, we'll still stand by and, of course, bring you that live coverage as we see that live feed. So we have a rather lengthy Trump on Truth segment today. So let's go over some of his posts in chronological order, beginning last night. A President Trump post at 8:33 Eastern on July 17th. The president said the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake. And if they print it, they will be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The president goes on to say the editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Carolyn Levitt and by President Trump that the letter was a fake, but Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. The president says instead they are going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch shortly. The press has to learn to be truthful and not rely on sources that probably don't even exist. President Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos with ABC, 60 Minutes, CBS, and others, and look forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. The president continues by saying it has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag, and writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there were any truth at all on the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago. It certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for quote-unquote Trump to have won 3 elections. And the president ended this post by saying this is yet another example of fake news. Reading from the President of the United States here on Truth Social, let's go to the next post at 9:07 p.m. last night. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end right now, end quote. So from Truth Social, let's go over to Elon Musk's company, X. In an X post reposted by Carolyn Levitt at 9:09 Eastern last night, Pam Bondi said in a response to the president's post, quote, President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. There's the post right there. Again, that was on X. The Attorney General posting it, Carolyn Leavitt reposting it, specifically about what President Trump just said. If you're just joining us now, this is definitely one of those that is very much in context of each of the posts. We're following the chronological order of President Trump's posts last night and then some posts that happened on X, just like the one I shared with you there. Let's move on. Then this morning, the president actively posting on Truth Social at 8:04 a.m. If there was a quote-unquote smoking gun on Epstein, why didn't the Dems who controlled the files for 4 years and had Garland and Comey in charge use it? The president says because they had nothing, end quote. President Trump at 9:16 this morning says, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Has even less talent than Colbert. Sorry. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. President Trump on Truth Social. Let's continue. 7:18, so that's today. At 9:17 this morning, Eastern Time, President Trump says, I look forward to getting Rupert Murdoch to testify in my lawsuit against him and his pile of garbage newspaper, the WSJ, referring to the Wall Street Journal. That will be an interesting experience. The president at 9:30 this morning says, big signing at 2:30 in the White House. Congratulations to our great Republicans for being able to accomplish so much, a record in so short a period of time. All the Democrats do is complain and criticize and get nothing done. They are the party or a party of the past, the president says there. So, those were a lot of posts, of course, by the president. Before we get to our next comment, which will be about the Genius Act, because we're going to see President Trump here in about 45 minutes or so. Let's go to angelpace.com out of Spring, Texas. Great company, great product, and many great products on there. And use the RSBN promo code. That will get you that percentage off of the Miracle Cream and a number of other products. Longtime sponsor, great sponsor, and based in the right things, right? Also, they hire military veterans. So a great company there out of Spring, Texas. Angelpace.com, great sponsor. Same with MyPillow.com. Who doesn't love MyPillow, right? So many great products. And get free shipping. That's always fun to get. All you have to do is use the RSBN promo code. You have a lot of products to choose from. More than 2,000 products. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Saving once again with the RSBN promo code with MyPillow. So many great products, as you guys know. Should we list a few? Okay, I'll do it real quick. Nobody said yes to me. I'm just going along with it. Slippers are great. Slides are great. There's a lot of great products there. You see the My Cross, you see the sheets, of course the pillows, My Coffee, a lot of great material there. All right, so mypillow.com/RSBN. All right, so it's 1:47, now 1:48 Eastern Time. Thanks so much for joining us live. So at 2:30, the president will participate in the signing ceremony for S.1582. That's the Genius Act. It's going to be in the East Room. So according to CNBC, the Genius Act of 2025 establishes a regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers in the United States and aims to provide clarity and oversight in the cryptocurrency market. Again, that explanation from the CNBC. You know, some of us are really well versed in the economy and finance and all that, and some aren't. That's why it's great. As a president of the United States, you have people around you as well. You might know a lot of things, but it's great to have a team that can help you out too. Then tonight at 7 o'clock, the president participates in a dinner with Republican senators. That's at the State Dining Room. Now, that's at 7 tonight. As of now, no public schedule in the sense of a live feed for that. It's a closed press event. If anything changes, I'm sure we'll let you know. If there's any breaking news when it comes to the DOJ and everything that President Trump was talking about last night, we'll definitely let you know that too. A lot of people talking about a lot of different stories right now, but it's great to be on the right side of history here in conservative media as it's 1:49 Eastern Time. My name's Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back. Everyone has heard of Make America Great Again, of course, but what about Make America Beautiful Again? Let's go now to Amelia Joy with Nature is Nonpartisan. Us here on Right Side.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Definitely. So can you break it down for the viewers that didn't see your previous interview here on Right Side? What is Nature is Nonpartisan?
Yeah, Nature is Nonpartisan is a brand new environmental and conservation nonprofit organization founded by Benji Backer. I'm our communications director, and the mission is exactly what the title implies. It's to make the environment a nonpartisan issue here in America again. When we look at statistics from the 1970s, late 60s, early 70s, when Americans are asked if they self-identify as an environmentalist, about 70-80% of Americans said that they do identify as environmentalists. Today, that statistic is down to about 40%, which is an insane drop-off when you consider the fact that as we talk to people about these issues, as we talk to people about clean air, clean water, access to public lands, restoring America's wildlife, these are issues that people overwhelmingly agree need to be a priority from the federal government, and yet they're not identifying as environmentalists, as conservationists. And so Nature is Nonpartisan is seeking to build that bridge and stop the partisan divide when it comes to the environment and bring these people together who might disagree on 99% of other things, but when it comes to the environment, when it comes to our love of nature, we really can come together and work together to find some solutions to these really pressing issues here in America.
When I went onto the website for the organization, it's interesting. It shows the staff, right? You're there too, and it says either conservative or it says liberal, but there's a line drawn through it because, to your point, you know, people want our environment to be healthy and good, right?
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. I think mine says conservative underneath, and then the line through it, and it says sun chaser because I'm a native of St. Petersburg, Florida. I grew up about 2 miles from the beach. And that's how it is for all of us. Our staff is split almost evenly, 50-50 between Republicans and Democrats. But it was really important to us to have, especially our board and our Council of Strategic Advisors, to always be split 50-50 Republicans and Democrats.
It's
so
cool
when we're out talking, when we're out talking to people, everyone is going to have a member of our board that they disagree with, but for every member that you disagree with, there's going to be someone that you agree with. And so setting that example, because that's pretty much the makeup of America as well, but we really can come together on these issues in particular.
Yeah, always good to find that common ground, definitely there. So this is all about Make America Beautiful Again. What exactly does that mean, and how does this happen? This is before I get to the next question about the president's executive order, but yeah, MABA, what exactly does that mean, and how does this happen?
Yeah, so you've heard of Make America Great Again, Make America Healthy Again, Make America Safe Again, and now we have Make America Beautiful Again. And it's really about rallying Americans around that love of nature. It's about looking back on the conservation legacy started by Teddy Roosevelt a century ago, when we had the establishment of our national parks, the creation of the Civilian Conservation Corps, the passing of important legislation like the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. But today, instead of that bold visionary leadership, politicians are using the environment as a political football, and it's driving a wedge between Americans, and it's preventing any real long-lasting progress that actually helps both Americans and the environment from even taking place or even being discussed in some of these important rooms. And so Make America Beautiful Again is about reopening that conversation and bringing all of the important parties and the important experts to the table and the stakeholders to the table. That includes environmental scientists and experts. It also includes farmers and ranchers who have lived their entire lives, and their families for generations have relied on the land for their well-being and for their livelihoods. It's about bringing all of these people together to figure out the best way to solve some of these issues and make America beautiful again for future generations.
Earlier this month, on July 3rd, the president signed that executive order establishing a Make America Beautiful Again commission. That is quite the accomplishment to make it to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. How did that bridge come together? How did that connection happen? Because, again, that's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, it is. So Nature is Nonpartisan was really proud to work with the Trump administration on the Make America Beautiful Again executive order. It was kind of born through a handful of conversations with now EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, as well as the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. And they both let us know that they just really wanted to leave a positive impact. They wanted to be leaders who could be for something and not just against something. And that's the exact mission of Nature is Nonpartisan as well. I think there are plenty of environmental groups who spend all of their time being against things and complaining about things that are going on. But in order to make real progress, you have to be for something. And this is something that all of us can be for. So Nature is Nonpartisan brought together a diverse coalition of both center-right and center-left environmental groups to draft the Make America Beautiful Again executive order. And what it does is it establishes the MABA Commission within the Domestic Policy Council of the White House. It'll be led by Secretary Doug Burgum, another great conservationist from North Dakota. And it's really focused on our public lands and some common sense conservation initiatives. It sets up the structure. It doesn't take any real action yet. It establishes the commission to come together and figure out the best ways to take action on things like expanding access to our private lands for hunters, for fishers, and for just everyday Americans who enjoy spending time outdoors, figuring out the best way to incentivize some voluntary conservation efforts, which means that it doesn't always look like funding from the national government and pouring more bureaucracy into things. It can look like partnerships with state and local governments. It can look like public-private partnerships. It can look like partnerships with our tribes and our farmers and ranchers who know the land better than anyone else. And it's also about just promoting active environmental management, especially as we're heading into the forest fire months, active management of our forests so that we're not always fighting fires. We can put some efforts into protecting our forests, which then makes sure we have clean air, it makes sure we have timber, it keeps different industries alive. And so bringing these important groups together to strategize on the best ways to solve some of these issues and to tackle some of these problems that America's been facing for generations.
Are there a number of resources that you recommend if somebody's watching right now and saying, hey, I want to be involved or volunteer or just learn more about it? Obviously, can you share with us the website that the organization you're with, but also any other resources you would recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at Nature is Nonpartisan on all of the social media outlets. But you can also go to makeamericabeautifulagain.com, and that'll give you a lot more information on the priorities of the commission. And it also has a little take action button so that you can tell your lawmakers that you want them to make nature and making America beautiful again a priority. and make sure that you receive all of the updates on future news coming out of the commission once we really get the ball rolling and have some exciting announcements in the coming months.
What is it like for you personally to be a part of this, and now something that's connected to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue just for nature itself?
Yeah, it's an honor. I think that when we talk to a lot of people in the public, they don't think of nature when they talk about President Trump. And bringing that to the forefront has really been a privilege of mine, especially with the knowledge that he didn't get the credit that he deserved during his first term on his actions when it came to the environment. I mean, during his first term, the Trump administration recovered more endangered and threatened wildlife species than any other administration in history. The Great American Outdoors Act was the largest investment in our national parks since Teddy Roosevelt. These are insane statistics that nobody talks about. And now with the Make America Beautiful Again executive order and commission, President Trump is seizing the opportunity that he has in front of him to build upon that legacy that he's already created. And if he plays his cards right over the next 3.5 years, I think that we might see President Trump be remembered as the greatest conservation president in history. I can see his face being up there on Mount Rushmore right next to Teddy Roosevelt.
That a lot of people have talked about that too over the past several months. Thank you so much, Amelia Joy, for joining us with Nature is Nonpartisan.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so it's 2:01, the top of the hour, as we're awaiting President Trump there on this Friday, July 18th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in with us right here on Right Side. We've been on the air for about 31 minutes or so. We've covered a number of topics. We're going to go over some of them again in just a bit. But before we do, RSBN, it's your choice for live coverage, of course, of President Donald J. Trump's second term. We're bringing you presidential events, White House press briefings, events like this that you're about to see, and the news that matters most to conservatives just like you. So you can like and share this broadcast and be sure to subscribe. All you have to do is hit the notification bell so you never miss when we're live. Follow us on social media by searching RSB Network and sign up for exclusive updates at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. So if you love what we do, you can support us at rsbnetwork.com/donate. Every contribution helps us keep bringing you the news each day. So text RSBN to 801-801 to stay connected. It's RSBN to 801-801 to stay connected. And I'm told that there's some people that are still saying, hey, I want to send a check. Well, you can do so. You can mail us cash or check at 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, P.O. Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. And if you are saying, wait, what did he just say with the address? Just hit pause and rewind a little bit. You'll catch it. It's the address there for if you'd like to send a check or cash. But thank you for supporting RSBN, your trusted source for coverage you can count on. Also, let's go to All Family Pharmacy, another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you've been feeling a bit tired or foggy or just low on energy lately, it might not just be stress. It could be your cells running low on fuel. So that's why more and more folks are turning to NAD Plus and methylene blue. So as we get older, our cells slow down, but that doesn't mean you have to. These products are helping people boost their energy, clear out the brain fog, and stay sharp. So now you can get both NAD Plus and methylene blue at All Family Pharmacy. And they make it easy to get the medications you need without the usual runaround. They have fast shipping, they don't require insurance, and the doctor's prescription is included. It's your go-to for essentials like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and more. And it's all online and delivered right to your door. So all you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use the code RSBN10 to save 10% today. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN10, as it's 2:03, Friday, July 18th. And speaking of All Family Pharmacy, the great conservative radio host Lars Larson was on the broadcast yesterday. If you saw with our host Robert McNeely, a great interview there as we were leading up to that press conference at the White House in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, speaking of Robert McNeely, our host, he interviewed Ashley Brassfield of the Daily Caller pretty recently, actually a little bit ago. So take a look.
And we are joined by Ashley Brassfield of the Daily Caller, a regular friend and contributor to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Great to see you, Ashley, in the Beltway, the DC swamp. Let's talk about the latest on the Epstein files and what could potentially come out today from the AG's office.
Yeah, well, it's been a hot topic the last few weeks, Bobby. Of course, we saw President Trump last night come out saying, release the files, the grand jury testimony specifically. So we're waiting on that today from Attorney General Pam Bondi, as you said. But, this has been a hot topic across the media. We saw last weekend at a Turning Point USA event. It was the main topic of conversation. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Laura Ingraham, Charlie Kirk, very vocal about this, making some movement, as well as other individuals like the influencers that got the original Epstein phase 1 binders even. So I think this topic is, the administration feels like they have to throw, the public a bone, even the media at this point. But this comes also on the tail end of the Wall Street Journal coming out with an article on President Trump talking about a somewhat picture that he drew for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday way back in the early 2000s. And so there's been a lot of discussion over the last, I would say, 12 hours with that. Of course, that dropped late last night, Rupert Murdoch's paper, the Wall Street Journal. So a lot of back and forth on social media between the president right now, as well as the administration, stating that they will sue the Wall Street Journal. We have yet to see that being filed. But of course, warnings of that going across social media right now.
Yes, and President Trump actually offering that up on Truth Social, a long post stating that he will sue not only the Wall Street Journal, but the parent company News Corp, and in turn, Rupert Murdoch himself. And they've had a close friendship over the years, but apparently now President Trump very upset with it, as he should be, because we do know that dating back to the 90s, although there was that somewhat social relationship with Jeffrey Epstein during that time in West Palm Beach, we know for the fact that President Trump, before he was president, way beforehand, actually dragged Jeffrey Epstein out by his ear after this individual had harassed one of his waitresses that was at Mar-a-Lago. And it's almost seemingly like the legacy media doesn't even want to touch on that fact.
Right, exactly. And even defense attorney for Jeffrey Epstein back in the 2000s, Alan Dershowitz, has stated that, this scuffle happened in some way, shape, or form, whether it be real estate or to do with one of Mar-a-Lago members' daughters. There's varying reports on this, of course. And, the first time that the media really got their hands on anything was when Vicky Ward did her original reporting on this when she worked for Vanity Fair. Of course, we see her editors push back on asking about some sexual misconduct allegations with Epstein. But this sounds like with President Trump that they cut the relationship off before even the 2008 case with Epstein in Florida, of course, Alex Acosta, that gave what they're calling a sweetheart plea deal. So, it's hard to say exactly with this letter. Of course, J.D. Vance even coming out saying this sounds nothing like the president, calling, well, in his own words, BS on this. Excuse my language, but, it is hard to believe that this is the president's language. He even said, I do not draw. So they're calling it a bombshell report, varying ideas about this across social media, I would say, and the validity of it, of course, is being questioned.
And Alan Dershowitz is one of the central, most interesting figures probably over the course of the last couple of weeks on this topic, because he said he has seen this alleged list. Now, he's also mentioned that no one in the current administration at the White House is on that said list, but what about the last administration? What about the auto pen? It seems as if the legacy media ignoring the fact of the former Attorney General, Merrick Garland. Where was he on these trafficking issues? In turn, how about Alejandro Mayorkas, who opened up the southern border under the auto pen administration?
Well, we've seen the weaponization of the justice system by the Biden administration. So it's very hard to believe, specifically with this drawing, it wouldn't have already have been used. That's another, factor in this that's being debated across social media. When it goes back to Alan Dershowitz, what I find very interesting is a few days ago, he actually wrote an op-ed within the Wall Street Journal, out of all outlets, I would say, talking about, kind of coming back on his comments that he made on Sean Spicer's show back, I want to say in February. I did a report on this last week, stating that there really is no client list. He talks about Tucker Carlson's comments, making this blowing out of proportion, but it's basically directly contradicting some of the things he's saying. So a lot of back and forth, similar to what a lot of social media his complaints have been about the administration, with Kash Patel's comments, as well as Pam Bondi's, regarding a so-called client list. So, I think it is a verbiage issue here, maybe. But I do think at this point, with the rhetoric that's been said about this case, I think the public's quite angry about the lack of transparency and, like I said, throwing the public a bone, even the media at this point, regarding, a lot of questions that still have not been answered about Epstein, like how did he make his money? I know there's been questions about Intel ties. So something along those lines that are completely, honestly, separate from the cases of human trafficking, rings and trafficking young girls, that possibly could be shared with the public.
We here at Right Side Broadcasting, and I know the great people like you, Ashley, at Daily Caller, will stay on this developing story. Now, you've really been on a hot trail with former Colonel Kevin O'Connor, who was the physician to President Biden, and actually his physician when he served as vice president under Barack Obama. Any developments there in the Beltway regarding Kevin O'Connor's seemingly lewd acts? We know that you were disclosing the stories of him taking people's cell phones and taking pictures of his own anatomy and really making people uncomfortable. But anything else going on in regards to this individual who recently pled the Fifth?
Yeah, well, to correct you, it was basically him. This is coming from Congressman Ronnie Jackson, former director of the White House Medical Unit, stating that he saw him take people's phones when he first introduced himself. He would take them, stick them down into his pants and his groin area, not taking pictures necessarily, but watching their reaction, which was shocked and uncomfortable probably most of the time, and giving it back to them. So just to make that clear. But as far as Kevin O'Connor, yes, he testified or lacked to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee last week, pleading the Fifth. Well, this week we saw Anthony Burnell, close aide to former First Lady Jill Biden, come before the committee, pleading the Fifth also. So there seems to be a trend happening. Of course, we see another aide coming in this morning to testify. We will see what the news is on that, whether she will plead the Fifth throughout the entire thing and not answer a question. A lot of people are saying this is the biggest scandal in White House history, comparing it to things like Watergate and other things. And of course, we're talking about the President of the United States, his mental capacity and his ability to sign things like pardons, executive orders. So, the people closest to him pleading the Fifth, Republicans have really been weaponizing that to say, silence is complicity and a cover up. And that's something similar that Democrats have done in the past, which is pretty typical within, the swamp here in Washington, D.C., Bobby. But, and continuing investigations going forward, yesterday Oversight announced specific dates, such as Karine Jean-Pierre will be the former Biden press secretary will be coming in, I believe, in August. So there is a lot more to this case. We'll see if they continue to, stronghold by pleading the Fifth, not giving answers to the American public.
And we know that you'll be right on it, Ashley, covering Capitol Hill. And thank you for that clarification as well with Congressman Ronnie Jackson. He also had the same job, being the physician to the president, especially during those COVID years, and did take care of the 44th and 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief, President Donald Trump. Now, there's a situation as well. Ambassador Huckabee has stated to Israeli counterparts that he is very concerned about the death of a Palestinian American that allegedly was beaten by Israeli settlers. This is after the latest strike that actually did hit a church. It was the Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Israel, and the administration apparently is having discussions with the Israeli government, not very happy about this, would like this to be reviewed. Where do you see this all going in the next couple of days and weeks?
Yeah, well, the Times of Israel actually came out with a piece today, and Huckabee, they actually obtained a letter from Huckabee to the Interior Minister of Israel, talking about the lack of ability for Christian organizations to obtain visas to Israel. So there's a lot going on right now. This has apparently been going on for months. Many of these Christian organizations came out at the beginning of the year asking for visas, still have not obtained them. So in the letter they obtained, according to the Israeli Times, that Huckabee kind of threatened to say that they are not welcoming to Christian organizations. Of course, this comes on the heels of the bombing of the Catholic Church. As you said, Pope Leo spoke out against that as well, the head of the Catholic Church. And so, this is a hot topic. A lot of, vitriol towards Israel right now, of course, with the bombings that occurred in Iran. So a lot going on in the Middle East right now, but it also a concern with Israeli-American relations as well. That Mike Huckabee, of course, the ambassador to Israel for the United States. So it's a big deal. And I think the talks are necessary in this case. It's obviously sparked over the last few months with a lack of action.
Is there a sense in the media, specifically in the Beltway, that President Trump does have one of the toughest situations to clean up, mostly thanks to the last administration, but also very tough issues like this? Israel, a dear friend of ours, the October 7th, 2023 terrorist attack, many of the reactions as a result of what took place just almost 2 years ago now. But you find these situations where President Trump gets upset because he wants the killings to stop, whether it be Russia and Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, to all of these other conflicts around the world. And it seems to tie right into not only a secure border here domestically, but also the tariffs abroad to then bring us wealth back into this country. Does the media, right, left, and center, do they, I guess, sympathize or at least understand how difficult it is for this gentleman, President Donald Trump, to do a job that's seemingly impossible?
Right. Well, we know that President Trump has been a staunch supporter of Israel throughout both of his terms. And we saw back with the Abraham Accords, that was one of his biggest accomplishments that many, even on both sides, would say that they can take away from him. But yes, I mean, this is a issue in the conflicts worldwide that were really a lot of them, like the Ukraine war, and as well as October 7th that occurred under the Biden administration. So yeah, it is cleaning up a mess in a lot of ways. But also, you are having to step very carefully when it comes to protecting Americans, keeping national interests in line. So it's a fine line the president has to walk. Of course, we've seen a close relationship to Benjamin Netanyahu over the years. He was in Washington, D.C. just last week. So, the conversations are obviously ongoing. I personally do not know what's going on behind the scenes, but that letter, I think, said a lot about the relations right now. And even as allies, I think there's a standard that you have to keep, that if we're allies, we have to help each other.
And you're covering Capitol Hill on a daily basis for the Daily Caller. The rescissions package, really historical in so many ways, $9 billion cut for PBS and some public entities, because we know that it's gone from good old Sesame Street that you and I grew up with to now Transgender Hour and Hanging Out with the Drag Queen, among many other strange programming choices that are geared towards children in America. We haven't seen a rescissions package in a long time, actually since the Bill Clinton years, and we know that $25 billion saved between Gerald Ford, when that law was passed in 1974, until the presidency of Bill Clinton through 2001. Today's a deadline for a number of those additional rescissions. Do you think that we're going to find this in the future with a Congress that seemingly wants to scale the size and scope of the federal government, because we haven't seen it for a number of years now?
Right. Well, it's over when the clock strikes midnight. So the House must pass this rescission package or it's done. To give you a timeline and the viewers a timeline, this got sent by the White House on June 3rd. The House was able to pass it on June 12th. And the Senate was not able to get a hold of this and really get it through until this week, July, going on 15th, 16th timeline. And now it's back in the House. So I was actually at the RSC New Media Row the other day, got to ask some Congress members about, and on the GOP side, about their frustration with the Senate not passing this rescission package. I mean, it's $9.4 billion. And in congressional terms, this cut is pretty small, and the administration has voiced future rescissions that they would like to pass as well. That this looking at USAID specifically, as you said, public broadcasting with NPR and PBS. So with the back and forth within the Senate alone, with Susan Collins, Murkowski, as well as Mitch McConnell, who voted no on the bill, and J.D. Vance had to come in to say, here's the final vote. We're passing this forward to take it back to the House. There's been a lot going on. And as well as within the Rules Committee, the Epstein actually has come into that as well. Democrats continue to put forward resolutions within that committee to stop the rescission vote, to move that forward as well. So there's been a lot of back and forth. The House Majority Leader, Mike Johnson, also talked about this yesterday, that it's been conflicting. They've had to meet with them late nights. So they're on a deadline here. So we'll see what happens today with that.
Ashley Brassfield, where can we find you and all of your great breaking coverage on a daily basis in the Federal City?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Ashley E. Brassfield and on X at Brassfield Ashley, and of course at dailycaller.com, Ashley Brassfield. So I appreciate you having me on again, Bobby. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Always a joy to have you and your hard-hitting analysis right there in the swamp with the Daily Caller. It's Ashley Brassfield, a friend of Right Side Broadcasting Network. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. You too.
Absolutely great to see Ashley there with the Daily Caller in Washington, D.C. Great interview there by Robert McNeely. And on Wednesday, of course, we interviewed conservative analyst and author T.S. Dixon. He gave us his take on the story that a lot of people are talking about, the Epstein story. So T.S. says he believes the deep state is now using a Nixon-style playbook on President Trump. It's an interesting take. Take a look.
Going back here, they tried the JFK playbook in Butler, and that failed. And so now I think they're going to the Nixon playbook, and it's very similar to a magic trick. A magician has 3 steps to his trick. First, the pledge. Okay, that's when he shows you an object and it's normal and you inspect it. Next is the turn, where he takes something natural and does something supernatural with it. And then finally, the prestige, where that's the punchline to the magic trick. That's the wow moment. And so the same goes for a Nixon-style setup, like I think is what we're seeing here that's my take on things. First, you're going to have the setup. I have a visual aid, Matt, forgive me. But first you would have what I would call the setup, and that's where you plant the poison pill, okay? And it would be not far of a stretch to believe, after Crossfire Hurricane and the PP dossier and all that they've planted something in the Epstein files, which we all want released, but it was under the careful care of James Comey and others. Step 2, you have where they try to instigate a cover-up, and this is what killed Nixon. Okay, they encourage you to do a cover-up and cover it all up, and in the process, they try to get you to break certain laws. And so if they can't get you with the poison pill because maybe the accusation of the evidence is fake or false, like the P dossier and others, then they try to get you with the cover-up. Okay, and then finally, and this is why I think the Democrats are being so careful and so quiet right now, because they're waiting for the step 3, and that's the takedown. Okay, then they try to bring it all out through some official process and then take you down like they did with Nixon. I think this is the Nixon playbook. It's just it's smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. It's a magic trick, and we don't need to fall for it, and Trump doesn't need to fall for it. I think maybe he got some advice to try and squash things and hush them up in the beginning, because I think that's a flinch reaction. Getting news like this would be very shocking to the system, especially with all he's been through. But I think now his team is advising him, and he's realizing, they might have to fight this out like they have on all the other ones. And in the process, clean house in these corrupt institutions. It's not just Hillary or Obama, whoever he's accusing of setting this up. It's a corrupt, rogue set of leaders and managers at the FBI, the CIA, and the Department of Justice. I mean, Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, still works at the Department of Justice. She's a U.S. attorney reporting to Pam Bondi and the president. She's still there.
Well, Maureen Comey now doesn't work there any longer. Great interview there with T.S. Dixon, conservative analyst and author. Let's go to a couple sponsors before we move on to some more videos as we await the great President Donald J. Trump from the East Room of the White House. Kalshi.com/RSBN. You can also use the Kalshi app. Always good to check out various polls, whether it's weather, science, sports, technology, whatever it is. Kalshi.com has it for you. And a lot of people, more than 1 million users on this website and the app, and that number is growing. So a great sponsor here at Right Side. Let's also go to Spring, Texas, angelpaste.com. If you'd like to save money, first use that RSBN code and then get the Miracle Cream, or look at the other products on there. There's a lot of great products on angelpaste.com, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. If you've been feeling tired or foggy or just low on energy lately, it might not be just stress. It could be your cells running low on fuel. So that's why more and more people are turning to this NAD+ and methylene blue. As we get older, Our cells slow down, but that doesn't mean you have to. These products are helping people boost their energy, clear out that brain fog, and stay sharp. And now you can get both NAD Plus and Methylene Blue at All Family Pharmacy. They make it easy to get the medications you need without all of that usual runaround. They have fast shipping, they don't require insurance, and the doctor's prescription is included. It's your go-to for essentials like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and more, and all online and delivered right to your door. So all you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Get that 10% off. Use that RSBN10 promo code. A great, patriotic, independent pharmacy that is on the right side of history as well. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, again, a lot of the products there and medications, 10% off using the RSBN10 code. Great sponsor on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, we know that in about 6 minutes or so, that's when the scheduled time will start for the Genius Act. Let's just review that quickly. The Genius Act, of all things, I don't usually go to AI just to get some information, but I fact-checked, and it is accurate to what CNBC is reporting about the Genius Act. So let's start with CNBC first. The Genius Act of 2025 establishes a regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers in the United States and aims to provide clarity and oversight in the cryptocurrency market. Let's shift over to Grok on X. The Genius Act, it's the guiding and establishing national innovation for United States stablecoins. Genius Act regulates USD-pegged stablecoins. So the key provisions, we're told, defines and licenses issuers as permitted payment stablecoin issuers, including banks and non-banks. It also mandates via one reserves and safe assets like cash, treasuries, no interest to holders. It has oversight by the Fed or OCC, state regulators, and it requires AML compliance and reserve disclosures. If it sounds like this is a foreign language, it may be to some of you out there because there are people in that industry and in that field very interested in this. You're going to hear more from the president about the Genius Act coming up. Now, it will be signed into law in just a few minutes. It also prohibits unlicensed issuance. It clarifies stablecoins, and there aren't securities and commodities with that. So it applies to issuers with 10 billion in circulation, allows foreign exemptions if compatible. Again, I know it's a lot of jargon there, but hey, that's what we're seeing from CNBC, we're seeing from Grok on X, and that factors into what we're going to see here in just the next 4 minutes as we get ready to go to the White House right here on RSBN Live. Let's go to Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in with us on this Friday, July 18th. And if we have time, we're going to go back to President Trump's posts that he posted last night and this morning. That's how we started our broadcast. Man, was he on fire last night and this morning. We're following what's going on, and we will report as we see evidence and receipts and all the stuff. We are on the right side of history, and we're just thankful that you're with us. Supporters and lovers of God, family, country. That's what it's all about, and that's what we are doing here, reporting the common sense facts here on Right Side. So again, 2:27, almost the bottom of the hour. Let's go now to something that happened just yesterday at the White House. Now, this was all about the Halt Fentanyl Act. The White House, the president, the team posted 3 videos. So instead of tossing to each one, we're going to watch all 3 together. Check it out.
It's an honor to be with you. Today we strike a righteous blow to the drug dealers, narcotic traffickers, and criminal cartels that we've all been hearing so much about for so many years. And we take a historic step toward justice for every family touched by the fentanyl scourge as we sign the Halt Fentanyl Act into law. With this bill, we are officially and permanently classifying all fentanyl-related substances as Schedule 1 narcotics, meaning anyone caught trafficking these illicit poisons will be punished with a mandatory 10-year minimum sentence in prison. We're joined today by just a few of the millions of families ravaged by this scourge.
This is what we voted for, Mr. President. God bless you. God bless our angel families who are all here with us today.
So today, on behalf of all Americans who have lost a loved one to opioids, we renew our vow to liberate America from this horrible plague, and we'll be getting the drug dealers, pushers, and peddlers off our street. and we will not rest until we have ended the drug overdose epidemic. With this bill, we are officially and permanently classifying all fentanyl-related substances as Schedule I narcotics, which is actually a very big deal. It doesn't sound like much. It's a big deal, as they will tell you, meaning anyone caught trafficking these illicit poisons will be punished with a mandatory 10-year minimum sentence in prison. We'll be getting the drug dealers, pushers, and peddlers off our street, and we will not rest until we have ended the drug overdose epidemic.
Sorry. 2 of my 3 boys are gone. Life has never been the same.
This is my son, Tony. Tony's not with us here today because he died about a year ago with a counterfeit pill.
We lost our son, Jason Michael Loward, November the 5th, 2023, to an accidental fentanyl overdose.
With the pivotal passage of this bill today, classifying fentanyl as a Schedule I narcotic, we're going to make incredible inroads towards combating this crisis.
It's a huge step against the cartels.
If this would have been signed a long time ago, my daughter would still be here with us.
It's tragic that we have to be here today to advocate for this cause because of all the loved ones that we lost.
It's wonderful for us to finally see an administration that's prioritizing this.
This administration and what President Trump has done, finally hearing our cries. And I hope nobody else has to experience this.
President Trump is the hope that we needed.
I want to say thank you to President Trump for all he's done.
I have hope for the first time in 4 years.
He's avenging the deaths of my 2 sons.
I thank President Trump and everybody who passed that legislation today.
Of course, not easy to watch moments like that, but great to see the Halt Fentanyl Act become law now. So if you missed any of those videos, you could always pause and scrub back and check out some of the details as we move forward here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We see down on the southern border, I saw a photo recently of the border wall being built. We know that there are hundreds of miles already built of new wall. Well, now with the big, beautiful law, what we're seeing is more of the wall get complete, the new wall. So that will be complete. Of course, a lot of other accomplishments within that big, beautiful law, which we can talk about in a bit, as we are still covering a number of topics here at Right Side. And of course, we're going to go back to President Trump's Truth Social post, the chronological order of it. I don't know if you saw it yesterday or not, but holy smokes, was he posting and posting and posting. And then this morning, the same thing. And really tackling what a lot of people are talking about when it comes to this Epstein thing. So we're going to go to President Trump's post in just a minute. And if you missed T.S. Dixon, we played a clip from his interview from earlier in the week, breaking down various analysis and also his take on how things are going. So great to have you here with us, and including also Ashley Brassfield from the Daily Caller. Robert McGilly interviewed her moments ago. So if you missed any of this content, maybe you want to watch it on replay. But if you've watched it live, thanks so much for doing so. Everybody joining us from all across the country right now, thank you guys so much for streaming in. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you right to it. In the meantime, let's go to a few sponsors before we move on with a couple of other videos from the State Department and from Ag as well. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. So if you're looking for maybe tomorrow morning, right? Saturday morning, you want to wake up and have a good cup of joe. Well, you probably won't get it with MyPillow yet, but if you order it now, you may get it soon, maybe Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, because he has My Coffee. It's very good stuff. Had some here at the studio before. So My Coffee, MyPillow, all of the great Giza sheets, all the stuff, right? There's more than 2,000 products for you to choose from. And just use that RSBN promo code. Free shipping, always good to get that too. So great to be a partner with MyPillow. Also, let's go to RSBN Donate. If you'd like to donate to the network, as we grow, as we expand, Robert's new show, The Voice of Reason, airs on Thursday night, 6 o'clock. And that is a show that people are starting to watch as well as RSBN Live, because it's time to grow and expand. You see that happening in major, conservative outlets now, and Right Side Broadcasting Network, 10 years young at this point. So we'll see how it all expands from here. But if you'd like to help out with that, of course, you can count on us for that live coverage of President Donald J. Trump's second term. We're bringing you presidential events, White House press briefings, and the news that matters to conservatives like you. So you can like and share this broadcast, and be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss when we're live, and follow us on social media by searching RSB Network, and sign up for exclusive updates at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. And if you love what we do, all you have to do is support us by going to rsbnetwork.com/donate. Every contribution helps us keep bringing you the news each day. So text RSBN to 801-801 if you'd like. Also, for those of you that want to send a check, which we heard that that's the case, you can do so to a P.O. Box. So it's 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you so much for supporting RSBN, your trusted source for coverage you can count on right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's also go to one more sponsor before we move on. If you've been feeling tired, foggy, or just low on energy lately, it might not be just stress. It could be your cells running low on fuel. So more and more people are turning to that NAD Plus and that methylene blue. And so we're told as we get older, our cells slow down, but that doesn't mean you have to. These products are actually helping people boost their energy, clear out the brain fog, and stay sharp. And now you can get both NAD Plus and methylene blue at All Family Pharmacy. They make it easy to get the medications you need without the usual runaround. They have fast shipping, don't require insurance, and doctors' prescriptions are included. It's your go-to for essentials like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and more, all online and delivered right to your door. So all you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, use that RSBN 10 promo code, and save 10%. It is now a few minutes past the bottom of the hour, 2:35, looking live there at the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue on this Friday, July 18th. As soon as we see that feed, we'll take you there. And also, we know that the Department of State, Department of State's Secretary Marco Rubio just met with the Prime Minister of Bahrain just yesterday. So let's take a look at that video from the Department of State.
This is an important signing. It serves as the first step towards a deeper civil nuclear cooperation, an example that the United States is prepared to be a partner with any nation on earth that wants to pursue a civil nuclear program that clearly is not geared towards weaponization.
Some pretty quick videos that we're seeing by the Department of State, whether it's the Department of Defense, whether it is the Department of Agriculture, which we'll be showing a video in a bit. This is as we are standing by awaiting that feed there in the East Room of the White House, but it's all fresh videos. These are all new content that we're bringing you here that has been posted within that 24/7 news cycle. On top of that, if we have time, and I think we might, we're going to get back to President Trump's posts from last night and this morning in that chronological order. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let's go to one state right now. Why not go to Mississippi? Mississippi leaders actually put together a video praising the big, beautiful law. Take a look.
Hello, I'm Jason White, Mississippi Speaker of the Mississippi House of Representatives.
My name is Rodney Hall. I am the representative for the 20th District of Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Clay DeWeese. I'm the representative from Oxford, Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Michael Watson, Mississippi's 36th Secretary of State. And I just want to say thank you to President Trump.
President Trump, I want to say thank you from Mississippi and the Mississippi Legislature for delivering historic and preserving tax cuts for hardworking Mississippians.
People are bringing more of their paycheck home, very important.
It's a roadmap for all of our states.
I'm also interested in the opportunity zones that he is now making that a permanent policy for us.
When you look at Mississippi and our shipbuilding culture, our industry, and our history, we're so thankful for him bolstering the shipbuilding industry. We look forward to continue to protect the entire country.
Extremely proud about the One Big Beautiful Bill. Looking forward to see it being implemented, not just in Mississippi, but all across the nation.
Beautiful country we have out there, Mississippi. Leaders there talking about the big, beautiful law. Of course, being down here in the deep south with some great weather, and then in some cases, it's a bit humid and hot. That's part of the deep south, kind of close to the Gulf of America, which is cool. Hopefully you guys have a great time if you're going on a vacation this summer. Maybe you already went on one. We have yet to go on our vacation, but we're looking forward to checking out parts of the Gulf of America and also up in the Northeast as well. So, all right, let's talk about the Department of Agriculture and MAHA. They, of course, go hand in hand. If you don't believe me, take a look.
I believe that soil health is the bridge where agriculture meets MAHA. It's where healthy soil meets healthy food meets healthy people.
But none of this is possible without America's farmers and ranchers and their noble stewardship of the land. Continuing to support our farmers in that valiant effort to make healthier soil will make the longevity of our food supply stronger and safer.
We have the best farmers in the world in our country. We have people who are developing innovative techniques for restoring the soil, for restoring the microbiome, for producing the healthiest food in the world.
Farmers have been and always will be the environmentalists.
Soil health isn't a compromise, it's a common ground. It's how American agriculture stays competitive while American families get healthier.
This is the future that can bring health to the farmers of America, to the families of America, and prosperity to us all.
MAHA will succeed because of the commitment, the cooperation, the collaboration, the partnership among the people who are in this room, and the advice of our farmers and ranchers.
Looking live there at the East Room of the White House, you can see that the president about to enter that room. As soon as we start to maybe hear the music from our producer's standpoint, we're going to go there live. In the meantime, it was making me think of the great farmers in the state of Iowa and all across our country. I remember doing a number of trips there to Iowa for the campaign trail. And of course, President Trump winning the Iowa caucuses by a lot, just like he won the election by a lot. So we're covering all of the latest news here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. I mean, literally monitoring what's happening, whether it's, on Truth Social or X, but also interviewing people that are in the know when it comes to certain things. And then we see, of course, Mr. Howard Lutnick, the Department of Commerce Secretary there, saying hello to a few people, having a good time on this Friday, July 18th, hugging the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. So that's happening right now as it's 2:40 Eastern Time. I just want to share with you the Friday Bible verse of the day. I was thinking about Romans 8:28. Of course, all things work together for the good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose. Isn't it great to know that good always wins in the end? Man, it's going to be good to see that one day for those of you that believe in the Holy Bible. Also, I know that was random, but still, I love the Bible. I'm sure you do too. A lot of you that follow us on Right Side are right-leaning, that are either Jewish or Christian. And if you're another faith or not a faith at all, it's all good. We are just standing together as conservatives wanting freedom in this world and wanting freedom in our country. Speaking of the world, President Trump to travel to Scotland on July 25th through the 29th. And we just learned yesterday from Karen Levitt that the president will go to England on September 17th through the 19th. So 2 foreign trips there. All right, that pretty much wraps up what we've been covering here for the past hour plus. We are going to go to maybe a few of President Trump's Truth Social posts. I'm going to read a few of them as we're awaiting the president there in the East Room of the White House. Specifically, this is the Genius Act of 2025 that will be signed into law. So it establishes a regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers in the United States and aims to provide clarity and oversight in the cryptocurrency market. That explanation from CNBC. Looking live there at the East Room. As soon as we see the president, obviously we'll take you there. In the meantime, we know that tonight the president at about 7 o'clock will participate in a dinner with Republican senators. So that's 7 o'clock on a Friday night. What we did see, that it's in the state dining room at the White House, that it's closed press, meaning it won't be a live feed. If there is any recording that happens, we'll monitor it. We'll see if that's something that will happen. But when it's closed press, usually not the case. And we'll monitor if anything does come down the pike. Now, that's what we do here, right? As this live desk, RSBN Live, we're always seeing if there's any breaking news, developing news, especially when it comes to what President Trump was talking about just yesterday. As if you started with us about 1:30 this afternoon, there was a rather lengthy Trump on Truth segment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to some of his posts as we await the president there at the East Room of the White House. As soon as we see anything, we'll be going right there to the East Room. But in the meantime, beginning last night, At 8:33 p.m. on July 17th, President Trump said, and I know that's really small words for you, so I'll read it for you. The Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake, and if they print it, they will be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The president going on to say, as you see the vice president entering the room there at the East Room of the White House, the president of the United States on Truth Social last night saying the editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Carolyn Levitt and by President Trump that the letter was a fake, but Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. Instead, they're going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and the Murdoch family, or at least Mr. Murdoch, it says there. It says, and Mr. Murdoch, shortly, to be accurate. The president also says the press has to learn to be truthful and not rely on sources that probably don't even exist. President Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos, ABC, 60 Minutes, CBS, and others, and looks forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. It has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag, the president says, and writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there were any truth at all on the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago. It certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. This is yet another example of fake news. Then President Trump at 9:07 last night says, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. The president says this scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end right now, end quote. In an X post reposted by Carolyn Levitt at 9:09 Eastern, Pam Bondi said in response to the president's post, quote, President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts, end quote. Then this morning, the president actively posting on Truth Social, 8:04 Eastern Time. He says, if there was a smoking gun on Epstein, why didn't the Dems who controlled the files for 4 years and had Garland and Comey in charge use it? The president says, because they had nothing. President Trump posting at 9:16 this morning, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Has even less than talented, he has even less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. President Trump posting at 9:17 this morning. I look forward to getting Rupert Murdoch to testify in my lawsuit against him and his pile of garbage newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, WSJ. That will be an interesting experience, the president said, as we await the president there at the East Room of the White House. And finally, 9:30 this morning, President Trump said, quote, as you read it there, big signing at 2:30 in the White House. Congratulations to our great Republicans for being able to accomplish so much, a record in so short a period of time. All the Democrats do is complain and criticize and get nothing done. They are a party of the past. President Trump, rapid fire last night and this morning, as you see the Vice President, you see the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, and others there awaiting President Donald J. Trump. Again, this is to sign the Genius Act into law. The Genius Act of 2025 establishes a regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers in the United States. Let's go to President Trump right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
important act, the Genius Act. They named it after me. This is a hell of an act. I did something very unusual. I said, this has been something that's been, a lot of people thought it was impossible, some of the things that have been done. And of course, the great big, I added the word great, the great big beautiful bill, that was something that nobody thought possible. They thought it would be in anywhere from 7 to maybe 3, I'll go the opposite direction, but 3 to 7 different bills. And we said, let's just put it in one, because this way there's something for everyone. And there really is, there's a lot of things for everyone. And when we get the word out how great that is for every single person in this country virtually, and all they have is a soundbite, death. You know what their soundbite is? Death. Aren't they nice? Death. They are the most incompetent people. They've lost their confidence. They've lost everything if you think about it. But Jasmine Crockett is on her way. She's on her way. She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble. But I have to tell you, that was great, and this was great. And I'm so tired of making phone calls at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting calls from our great speaker. Sir, we have 12 hard no's. I say, Mike, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We have 12 hard no's. The good news is I call up, hello, Jim, how are you? Sir, you have my vote. Sir, you have my vote. I really they just want a little love. Unfortunately, it's always the same 12 people. It's 5 seconds. Said to John Thune and I said to Mike, I said, listen, I want to have a party, but not to those people that I have to speak to endlessly every time. And they're wonderful because they always seem to come through other than a couple. Rand Paul Jr. from the Congress and Rand Paul from, other than a few people. But I said, I want to have them over. We're going to have a party for everybody in Congress, everyone in Congress except 12. And Mike is definitely, Tom, I'll tell you what, Tom is definitely coming. The whole group, where are those 12 people? They're the only people I know. And I would say, of the 53 senators, 48, we're going to have 48 in here. You won't even have to come to that one. But these are the greatest people because they always vote yes, and we don't have to go crazy. You trust us, we trust you. That has been a very special group of people. We really do. I mean, 96% phenomenal and 4% extremely difficult. Do you agree? But they get there, most of them, not all of them. Those are the ones we really don't like. But I want to thank you all for being here. This is really a big day. This afternoon, we take a giant step to cement American dominance of global finance and crypto technology as we sign the landmark Genius Act into law. So congratulations. Into law. So congratulations to everybody. It is a big deal. We've come a long way since the Biden administration, when they had no idea what you were all talking about, and half of you were under arrest for no reason whatsoever. True. For no reason. And we want to have it, not China. China wasn't actually happy. They were watching this. They like it. And we've got this. We've got AI. We've got a lot of great ones happening. And this is a very big thing. And I want to thank the bill's author, Senator Bill Hagerty, a very good friend of mine. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's a very handsome guy. Looks great. He's got the whole package. But, I got to know him. He was ambassador to Japan. And we had a little problem with Japan on trade. But he was my ambassador to Japan. And I went to Japan, and he is speaking fluently Japanese. I said, did you learn it as a child? No, I just learned it over the last 4 or 5 months. I said, you learned Japanese? Maybe the single hardest language to learn. It's actually breathing. Rather than, it's breathing. I'm not going to imitate it because we'll end up with a big story, and I don't want that. But he spoke totally fluent Japanese. I said, That's very impressive. And he was introducing me to Mr. Honda. I said, oh, are you in the car business? He goes, yes. I said, you're a very rich man. And then he said, Mr. Toyota, right? Toyota. And I said, what business are you in? Let me guess. He said, cars. He was my interpreter. And I was so impressed. And I was getting ready to leave. He said, sir, I'd like to run for the United States Senate. I said, where are you from? He said, Tennessee. I said, well, I love Tennessee, but do they know you there? No, but if you endorse me, I'll win, right? And I endorsed him, and he took a 48-point lead. And they didn't know who the hell he was. And he's turned out to be a great senator. And now they all know who you are. Yeah, so you're fantastic, and we thank you. And just the fact that you're doing this and you understand this is a complicated world, and you understand it, Bill. So you've been great. Thank you very much. We're also pleased to be joined by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you very much. Good job. And he's been up speaking late at night on the phone. I said, J.D., how about you taking 3 or 4 of these people, please? Because 3 or 4 I cannot speak to. I just can't. And he'd take them and he'd come through, right, J.D.? Also, Speaker Mike Johnson. He is unbelievable. You keep at this pace. You can't keep it up for another 200 days, but I will tell you this, if you keep up this pace for another week, you go down as the greatest speaker in the House in history. So, one more week. Who needs Tip O'Neill? Who needs Tip O'Neill? He's better looking than Tip O'Neill, too. But, no, he's been going at a fervent pace. Would you say that's right? Your wife probably says, you are crazy. You've been aging beautifully at front. He's an amazing speaker, a great leader, and everybody likes him and respects him, and that's why we're with a very small majority, like 3. We had a time when we were 1. Remember? We said we're 1 heart attack away from losing the House. Then we won a couple of seats and a couple of other. Now we have 7, maybe if we're lucky, 7. But we win with, nobody's ever done, I don't think anyone's ever done this before, to win with those small. We had a little help from Tom too, right, and a lot of other people. I want to introduce also Secretary Howard Lutnick, who's been fantastic. You have done a great job, Howard. We've got trade deals coming out of our ears, right? We got so many trade deals, they're all calling, so many, and I really mean this too. It's like, how do you deal with so many? But, I always say when we send out the paper, that was a deal. They don't want the fake news doesn't want to hear that. When I send out the paper that you're paying 35 or 40% tariff, that's a deal. Then they'll call and see if they can make a little bit different kind of a deal, like opening up their country to trade. In some cases, they've never been opened. But we're doing well, and we have a couple of big ones to announce pretty soon, right? Could almost do it today. Maybe we'll say it. Maybe later on we'll do it. Senator Bernie Moreno, a great victory. Bernie had great victory. A great victory. That was one of the truly tough races. A lot of people weren't sure anybody could win that seat, and you won it in easy fashion, right? We won it together when you think of it. But you won it in easy fashion. You did a great job. Great guy. House Majority Whip. This is a great leader, Tom Emmer, a great politician and leader. Really good. And I like his wife even better. His wife is, she's the boss, but you are married to a fantastic woman, huh? And he knows that, and he likes hearing it, because some people don't, they say, sir, could you please stop saying that my wife is better than me, sir? Those are guys that don't usually end up with a good marriage, He's got a great marriage. So thank you, Tom. You really are a fantastic leader and representative. And Representatives Troy Downing, French Hill. Where's French Hill? Where is French? You have been so great. Thank you, French. I spoke to him a little late. He was walking down the hall. I said, French. He said, I'm there, sir. You are great, great guy. Everyone respects you, French. You know that. Bill Heisinger. Bill, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good job. Dan Muser, I thought he was going to become the next governor of Pennsylvania, but he likes Congress better, I guess, huh? So, but I think you're terrific, and, you know, I would have always been behind you. That I can tell you. Tim Moore. Tim, thank you, Tim. John Rose. John? Hi, John, thanks. Good job. Brian Stile. Brian Stile. Still young? Still nice and young. That's good. G.T. Thompson. G.T. Thank you. Andy Barr, good friend of all of ours. Thank you, Andy. Monica De La Cruz. Monica, she's here someplace. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Monica. Mike Paradopoulos. Mike, thank you, Mike. Look good. Mike Lawler, Mr. Salt. Well, it should guarantee your district. I mean, you worked hard for New York, right? And you're on television, I'm on television, so this should be good for a couple of points. But without you and your couple of friends from New York, that wouldn't have happened. That was not easy, right? Congratulations. Great job. Anna Paulina Luna. Anna, who is so great. I don't, even if she's here or not here, I want to tell you that she has been so great and worked so hard to make sure we got it approved. Ralph Norman. Ralph? Ralph? What happened to Ralph? Nick Begich. Nick, thank you, Nick. Good job. Good job. Good votes. I just saw a great poll on you, huh? Very good. Congratulations, Nick. Andy Ogles. Andy, who's a terrific friend. Beth Van Dyne. Beth, thank you, Beth. Great job. Thank you. Thank you very much for the great support. Roger Williams, a great baseball player, who also had to take a bullet, unfortunately, but he is a great guy. He was involved in that whole catastrophe, but he's fantastic and has been from day one, along with a lot of other people that I won't call out because I have no idea where the hell you are. I think I saw Jason here somewhere. Where's Jason? Oh, it's lucky I called him. Ooh, it's lucky. They didn't put your name because I invited you at the last moment, right? He was over there doing some business in the White House. But you've been incredible in your position. Nobody knows more about taxes and finance than you do, so we appreciate it, right? Is that true, Howard? It's true. Thanks, Jason. Great job. And you'll help out with that other matter. You make him so strong and powerful, right? Along with Deputy Secretary of Treasury, Michael Faulkender. Where's Michael? Good, Michael. How are you? Good. You'll help out over there, okay? And Ambassador Ken Howry. Ambassador? Thank you, Ken. Great job, Ken. I also want to recognize some of the countless industry leaders here today, including Brian Armstrong of Coinbase. You've done a good job, Brian. That's a big deal. Dave Ripley of Kraken. Thank you, Dave. Jeremy Allaire of Circle. This is a big day. Good job. Good job, Jeremy. Paolo Ardino of Tether. Paolo, thank you, Paolo. Ryan McInerney of Visa. That's a good company. Thank you. Chris Pavlovsky of Rumble. Chris, what happened to your location, Chris? You're always a front row guy. You're just being nice today, I think. How's Rumble doing? Good? Good. If Rumble's doing good, that means Truth is doing good. That's great. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Chris, very much. Vlad Tenev of Robinhood. Vlad, thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Vlad. Good. Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss. These are two smart, handsome guys. They got the whole package. They're a Gemini, but they have the whole pack. They have a lot of things, actually, but Gemini's just the one for today, right? They've got the whole, they've got the look, they've got the genius, got plenty of cash, and it's great that you're on our side. You guys are great. I can never tell them apart, but their mother can. I asked, can your mother tell you apart? And the answer is yes, right? Easily, or is it tough for her? Easy, I figure. Good. You guys have been great. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. let me say the entire crypto community, for years, you were mocked and dismissed and counted out. You were counted out as little as a year and a half ago. But this signing is a massive validation. And even before this signing, over the last year, year and a half, I think your stuff has gone up more than any stock, or just about more. A couple of stocks that were pretty good, I will say. But you have certainly, as an industry, gone up more than anybody. Nobody's gained the respect in such a short period of time. But this signing is a massive validation of your hard work and your pioneering spirit and your ability to never give up. Because a lot of people would have given up 2 or 3 years ago. So I want to thank you for contributing to the incredible strength of America. This is going to make it stronger, and congratulations on this incredible achievement. You've made our dollar look really good and strong and powerful. It's good for the dollar and it's good for the country. And that's why I backed you at an early stage, and I also did it for the votes, because you did come out and vote, I will say. And they changed tune, you know, Biden's team, they changed tune right in the middle of the campaign. All of a sudden, they loved you guys. They dropped all charges. They did have, I got you guys out of so much trouble. And you know what? I don't think anybody voted for them, right? Because you remember, they treated you very unfairly, actually. So it's a great honor that we were involved. And it was a tremendous amount of support that we got at the polls. We won. Think of it, we won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won the popular vote. We won the districts by 2,750. Think of that, to 505. Different districts too, by the way. Every once in a while that number can change, but it doesn't change by much. The map was almost totally red, and you guys were with us right from the beginning. Exactly 1 year ago this month, many of you were with me in Nashville, Tennessee. Do you remember that day, right? That was a big day, Nashville, Tennessee, when I became the first presidential candidate ever to address the Bitcoin conference. And at that time, crypto builders and founders were under relentless assault by the Biden administration, which was trying to crush your industry and crush you as people and go after your families. And they were a vicious group of people. You know, people don't realize it. They were vicious, incompetent, but vicious. Well, Joe was an incompetent guy, but he was always known as a vicious guy. I guess if you're going to be in that, you're probably off. If they're incompetent is better, right? Because you don't want to have a vicious guy that's competent. If you did, I wouldn't be standing here today. Right? But I pledged that we would bring back American liberty and leadership and make the United States the crypto capital of the world, and that's what we've done. And under the Trump administration, this is only going further. You're going to do really well. I mean, I'm so proud of what you've done in the last couple of years, and very important. On day one, I remember I did this and I said this and I mentioned this name, and I got the greatest applause of the whole campaign. We fired Joe Biden's SEC chair, Gary Gensler. We fired him. But I remember I was making a speech, and it was just a line in a speech. And I said, and I will fire Gary Gensler. The place exploded. I finished, I went and I said, what the hell did that guy do? There was a lot of hatred there, I'll tell you. And it turned out, as I got familiar with everything, it turned out you were absolutely right. In his place, I appointed a visionary chairman who wants America to build the future and not block the future. He's going to be unbelievable. He'll go down as one of the greats. And Paul Atkins, where are you, Paul Atkins? And Paul, the crypto guys, everybody said, not only crypto, every industry, they all wanted Paul for the position. And he's a tough cookie, too. But they actually said, we don't care. We just think he's fair. All they wanted was fairness, and they have somebody that you're really a champion of the street and you're a champion of the country. You're going to do a fantastic job. I saw you interviewed the other night. I watched it about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was a little thing called C-SPAN, which I don't know how many people were watching. Don't worry, you were on primetime too, but they happen to have a little rerun. I don't want to embarrass you. But fantastic job, really. You are absolutely so perfect for the job. Congratulations, Paul. And Paul is here today among the commissioners, various commissioners, including Hester Pierce and Mark Ueda. Hester and Mark Ueda. Thank you, Hester. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mark, wherever you may be. Is Mark here? Oh, stand up, Mark. I didn't... Good. Thank you. Good job. Good. I'm glad I gave you a second crack you didn't hear because of the thunderous applause for Hester. But thank you. I heard tremendous things about both of you. Thank you very much. My first week in office, I also established the first ever presidential working group on digital assets, and we have an executive director. Where's Bo Hines? Bo Hines. Hi, Bo. And Bo is a great football player, right? Bo is a great football player, one of the better players in college football, so I know you from that also. See, who would think that I know that? I know a lot of things, Bo, but he was a champion player. I stopped the weaponization of government against crypto and Bitcoin, and we ended the lawless operation Choke Point 2.0. That was a bad operation. And I kept my promises to the community and granted a full presidential pardon to Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht. And you have no idea how important that name became. It was like a symbol, and his mother was unbelievable. His mother was an unbelievable woman, but it was so important to a certain group of people. And in a truly momentous act last March, I signed an executive order establishing the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, as well as the United States Digital Asset Stockpile. And that's all signed up. And with today's signing, we're pushing even further into the exciting new frontier. Just as I promised last year, the Genius Act creates a clear and simple regulatory framework to establish and unleash the immense promise of dollar-backed stable coins. This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the internet itself. A lot of people are saying that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yes? If you say yes, I'm saying yes. I think it's great that you're involved, I will tell you. Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after I really met you for the first time? The Genius Act provides banks, businesses, and financial institutions a framework for issuing crypto assets backed one-for-one with real U.S. dollars, treasury bills, and other cash equivalents. It's really strengthening the dollar and giving the dollar great prominence. And, you know, you have this little group called BRICS. It's fading out fast. But BRICS is, they wanted to try and take over the dollar, the dominance of the dollar, and the standard of the dollar. And I said, anybody that's in the BRICS consortium of nations, we're going to tariff you 10%. And they had a meeting the following day, and almost nobody showed up. They said, leave me alone. We didn't want to. They didn't want to be tariffed, did they, Howard? Huh? So it's amazing. No, we're not going to let the dollar slide. If we have a smart president, you're never going to let the dollar slide. If you have a dummy, that could happen. Like the last one, he would. If you ever asked him about the dollar sliding, he would have no idea. But we can't let that ever happen again. Consumers, vendors, and people all over the world will then be able to use those stable coins for ultra-low-cost transactions that are cleared and settled in a matter of seconds rather than weeks and months. And it's really an amazing thing. And with the privacy, flexibility, and decentralization of cash, This revolution has the potential to supercharge American economic growth and empower billions of people to save and transfer in U.S. dollars. It's really all backed by the dollars. It's really a great thing. And a lot of, we had a lot of Democrat support. I have to tell you that. I was shocked anytime you get one but we had a tremendous amount of Democrat support, which we appreciate, and which just shows you that you're doing the right thing. This will increase demand for U.S. Treasuries, lower interest rates, and secure the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency for generations to come. The reserve currency is so important. If we lost that, that would be like losing a world war. We can never let anyone play games with us, and that's why when I heard about this group from BRICS, 6 countries basically, I hit them very, very hard. And if they ever really form in a meaningful way, it will end very quickly. I will tell you, for them, they won't be gone very long. I don't think they'll even do it. They're virtually afraid to meet. I also remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. It won't happen. My first. Thank you. And the other night, I will say, with some of the congressmen and women, they wanted that so badly. That was so important to them. I was impressed that they knew what the hell it was, to be honest with you. Please, sir, please, the central bank digital currency, well, you have to make sure, sir. And I'm saying, what do you know about that? It's amazing the knowledge that people have gained all of a sudden. We had a lot of problems with some of them. I said, we've already got it from the Fed, right, from Commerce, and from an executive order. You don't need it a fourth time. Sir, we have to get it. It's amazing. But they knew their subject, though, didn't they, huh? And we helped them out. My first week in office, I signed an executive order to ban the creation of a CBDC in the United States, and very soon I look forward to signing legislation that will codify and ban make it a permanent law, put it in permanence. I'm also committed to signing landmark crypto market structure legislation this year to grow the industry. We're going to be growing it even more than people ever thought. It's a really hot industry. And for a little while, 2 nights ago, we were a little concerned because we were a little short on votes. I would say maybe we were about 9 short. 9 short at 3 in the morning. We were about 4 short at 3:30 in the morning. And we were in good shape at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? But the people, and few people, have fought harder for the bill than we're signing than some of the people here today. You have been unbelievable. It's our White House AI and crypto czar, David Sachs, who has done such a great job. And he has a show now. I've become a showman, but a couple of years ago, right, it's probably 2 years ago now in San Francisco, and I did his show, and I heard he's a very smart guy, and we had a great show. You've kept it going a lot longer, and is that still your highest rated ever show? Oh, he knows what to say. He knows what to say. He had a rating that he had millions and millions of people. He said, what's going on? But we had a great show, and I said, that guy's really smart. I said, if I get elected, I was running at that time, if I get elected, we're going to bring him into government in some ways. He's worth a fortune. He's made a lot of money. He's a very rich billionaire. But this is more important, isn't it? This is, me too, it's like, doesn't matter. This is much, I know Howard and I talk about it all the time. Howard could go back to his wonderful brokerage firm, hire 1 or 2 people, and it's not the same as what you're doing, right? We're doing the biggest deals in the world. Actually, the deal we're doing now in tariffs is the biggest, when you add it up, the biggest deal ever made in history. It could be 1,000 IBMs. I mean, if you think of it, it's the biggest deal ever done. So it's hard to go back to a brokerage firm and, make $79,000 commission on the sale of a stock, right? It's true. But I want to ask David. So David's been fantastic. He's done an incredible job. And I'd like to ask David to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, President Trump. It's a great honor to be here, and it's true that I'd never expected to work in government at all, and then everything changed after President Trump came on my podcast, and I accepted this job as crypto czar because I thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for a president who really wants to get things done for the American people, and if anything, that's been an understatement. The first 6 months of this administration have been more successful than any administration in American history. What's been done? It's just been incredible. President Trump has worked at tech speed. We're used to working fast in Silicon Valley, but even this is fast for us in Silicon Valley, the speed at which you move, President Trump. It's really incredible. And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system, and it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasury. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance. This is a huge promise made and promise kept by President Trump. And there's just a few other people I'd like to thank. First, my family for being here. Thank you. And Bo Hines, who President Trump mentions, the director of our crypto council, he really did the heavy lifting here. So Bo, I just want to thank you again. And my chief of staff, Tracy Johnson, as well, who also does the heavy lifting. And Bill Haggerty and French Hill and all the congressmen and senators who have already been mentioned by President Trump, so I'll save the time, but it was really been an honor to work with all of you. This was really a team effort, but most of all, I want to thank President Trump for accomplishing what nobody thought was possible, and it's true that just earlier this week, the media was reporting that this bill was dead. This bill was dead, and then the media didn't know one thing, that we had a secret weapon. We have a deal maker in chief. And thanks to President Trump, he stepped in and saved this bill. And it's because of your vision, your leadership, your determination, your skill that we're all here today. So thank you very much, President Trump.
Is that Laura? Please come. Just come here. This is our superstar. She was the head of the Republican Party, and nobody complained about anything. We went on to great. This is Laura Trump, married to a young gentleman named Eric. They have beautiful 2 children, but she has been so good. She stepped into that position like it was nothing that we won, and she said, "Dad, I'd like to go home right now to my beautiful husband and my son and daughter, right? But you did a fantastic job, and you worked with a great gentleman, too. He's doing a fantastic job. But I just want to thank you. I just saw you standing back there. I wanted to bring her in. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you. So under the Trump administration, I just got back from Saudi Arabia, and we went to Qatar. We went to a number of countries, and I will tell you the level of respect that this country has now is incredible. The UAE, I tell you what, we had a time there, but every leader said the same thing. They said 1 year ago, your country was dead. And they'd say it that way. It was like, I didn't know whether I was supposed to be happy or insulted, but the truth is we were in deep trouble. But they said 1 year ago, your country was dead, and today you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it's true. We have the hottest country in the world. We had a country, we were a laughingstock with the borders, people pouring in. Can you imagine last month, in the month of June, actually, 0. Now, I don't even believe that, 0, because you have hundreds of thousands pouring in, and then all of a sudden it's 0. But they have it down as 0. And very liberal people take that particular toll. It's a liberal group, so they're not giving us any favors. It's 0 people coming through our border. Can you imagine that? From literally hundreds of thousands and millions pouring in from all over the world. They came from all over the world. They came from prisons, jails. They came from mental institutions, gang members. There were gangs. They came from all over the place, from every country. They came from the Congo in Africa, a lot from the Congo. They came from South America. A lot came from Venezuela. They emptied their jails into our country. Can you imagine? They allowed that, emptied their jails into our country, and they let them walk right into our country like perfect. 11,888 committed murder. 50% committed more than one person. They murdered more than one person. 50% of 11,888. And we had murderers, and we're getting them out, and Tom Homan and Christie are doing a great job. That Tom Homan, I'll tell you, is he central casting or what? And he takes abuse, but they just keep fighting, and they're winning, and we're winning in the courts, so we're winning everywhere. But we've got the hottest country in the world, and you're a big part of it. So the golden age of America is upon us, and with today's signing, the future of crypto and the crypto industry, the U.S. dollar working together, because they really are hand in hand, is going to be stronger and bigger and better than ever before. And I just want to thank everybody, some tremendous people in this room. And maybe when I sign, I'll ask some of our great senators and congressmen to come on up. Some of the top crypto guys, please come on up, because you guys work very hard on this. And we'll sign this, and we'll get on to the next battle, and we'll win. But we're winning all over the world right now. It's not even close, not even close, so we're going to keep it going. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you.
Can you all sit down, please? Thank you so much.
Sit down.
When?
Yeah.
Sir?
You got it?
Can you sit down? Thank you so much.
This is not an auto pen, by the way, which is a big scandal. If that were a Republican, it would really be a big scandal. But it is one of the great scandals of our time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, why not go further than just unsealing the
President, did you send that letter? Release the full file.
President Trump signing the Genius Act into law in the East Room of the White House there. Meantime, we're actually following some developing news from the United States Department of National Intelligence. Moments ago, Director Tulsi Gabbard said Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. Here's how. For months preceding the 2016 election, according to the Director Gabbard here, the intelligence community shared a consensus review and a view that Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack U.S. elections. Again, this is developing news. Specifically, while President Trump was speaking, we were seeing that Stephen Miller reposted this as well from Tulsi Gabbard. She's saying, but weeks after President Trump's historic 2016 victory, defeating Hillary Clinton, everything changed. Now, you can see the details and documents on X at DNI Gabbard or go to dni.gov. So the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, says that these documents detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest levels of the Obama White House to subvert the will of the American people and try to usurp the president from fulfilling his mandate. She also said, this betrayal concerns every American. The integrity of our democratic republic demands that every person involved be investigated and brought to justice to prevent this from ever happening again. Tulsi Gabbard continuing on and saying, I am providing all documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the American people deserve. That's some developing news here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We were seeing that on X just moments ago, and it's making its circulation literally right now. So things happening in Washington, D.C. and around the country. This all brought to you by a number of great sponsors. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code. Great percentage off, great products. The medications you're looking for like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and others. allfamilypharmacy.com. Also, Kalshi.com. Thank you guys for being a great sponsor. Use the app, use the website. If you're looking to bet and trade on a lot of different topics, you can do that with Kalshi. Also, angelpaste.com. Use that RSBN promo code. Get that percentage off for the Miracle Cream and other products as well out of Spring, Texas. And of course, MyPillow. Come on now, out of Minnesota, free shipping sale. What else do you want? MyPillow.com. Use that RSBN promo code there, /RSBN. More than 2,000 products that you can choose from. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, you can simply text RSBN to 801-801. So just text RSBN to 801-801. And for those of you that were saying, hey, well, what about checks? We want to send you a check or cash. You can actually mail us to our P.O. Box. It's 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, thanks so much for streaming in on this Friday, July 18th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live Show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.